I'm reluctant, I guess, to talk about this since we're official, but whatever. I used to play this game where I guarantee within, you gotta try a little bit, but within 10 clicks on YouTube, clicking little side windows, you can always take it back to horse mating.
Hi, hello. This is, I guess, the start of my vlog, technically. For those who don't know who I'm with, I'm here with the lovely Pico. Some of you may know her from Curse, some of you may know her from her more recent job location of War Gaming. Pretty cool she agreed to come talk with me. Hi, hello.
Hi.
Um,
Friend.
yeah, well, we were kind of like accidental friends. I gotta say, like, you're the weirdest friendship I have, like, acquired online. It's
Well,
like,
I hear a lot me associated with work weird, but we'll just keep going with this.
okay,
It's
the
flattering.
the kindest, most original. How does that sound better? Is that spun
Aw,
a little
that
bit
is
nicer?
nice. I like, yeah, that is weird. Kindness and originality. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, okay, for those who don't know, by the way, so here's my story about Pico. I was watching her stream one day out of random. Like, I had seen you before when I played World of Warcraft. You did the weekly roundups and all that. But of course, I had never talked to you or anything like that. And I saw you were streaming one day. I was like, oh, cool, she streams. Let's check her out. And I believe the first time was you were playing Secret World. It was an MMO. I'm pretty sure it was Secret World at least.
Mhm.
Because I had also gotten into that. I was like, okay, let's see what happens because I want to see what this game's like. And you started giving away those cursed t-shirt codes in chat, and Pico gave me a cursed t-shirt code, which was really cool. I was so excited. I was like, yes, I got this from Pico. Added to her friends list. We started talking a little bit. 2 days later, I get banned for something I didn't even do. And like,
I'm
just
sorry.
I was like, it's the t-shirt, man. That's what it came down to. That was the t-shirt.
Probably. It probably
But,
was the shirt.
but yeah, no, I've played a lot of games with her. League of Legends was the one we sort of started being friends over. Then moving on to World of Tanks. She is really good at World of Tanks. I'm gonna say this in quotes because it's like on and off awesome. Either way, she's better than me all the time, regardless.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been playing a lot since, especially since looking into getting this job and just tanks all day long. And it's great. I mean, it's a great game because it's not easy like that. It's easy, but it's just easy in your brain. Like, I don't feel like my brain is melting when I play this game. It's just really, it's exciting as much as it needs to be exciting, but it's also just a nice tactical sort of game as well.
Yeah, like I've played so many versions of like Counter-Strike or Team Fortress. You come around the corner, bam, headshot, nothing you can do about it. World of Tanks, it's nice. It's not slow where it's like boring or stupid, but it's slowed down enough that it becomes, as you said, tactical, and you can play it without getting incredibly mad and wanting to punch your monitor.
Yeah, see, for me, gameplay is about having fun, and if I'm frustrated at a game, that's not fun for me anymore. Like, whenever I start raging and my face turns red and I get like this really serious look, I'm just like, I need to take a breather. But, with tanks, I don't really get like that. It's just fun and simple.
Oh, it's really cool. You told me too. Those tanks are all real tanks as well. They're not just made up blast your face off tanks.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, there's a couple of them that are like, well, there's this tank and they made a design, but maybe it never saw action on the field. So this would be the only time you actually would see it shooting and stuff. But for the most part, they really do take into account like all the dimensions. Like, a couple times I've gone out to the tank museum over here and have measured the thickness of like the halls and stuff, just to get accurate readings for the game itself.
Super detailed.
Yeah.
You actually recently, the only tank I really play nowadays, and I feel really ashamed saying this because I've upgraded, I've tried some of the tier 4 tanks. I don't have like the good pilots or drivers or anything, like my guys are all terrible because I don't have money to spend on the game. But that one tank you gave me, the gift code thing, I love it. Every time I play that one, I have a good time. Win or lose, that tank's awesome. It's fast.
The micro mouse, or?
It's a nice, yeah, it's a nice mix of everything. And then I go play like a beefy tank and I'm like, I can't move. I kill everything in one shot, but I can't move. Like, what do I do?
It's slow for a tier 2 light tank, but it's fast because it is a light tank by comparison with some of the bigger ones. It's just fun. Like, I've been in matches with it, and because I'm with like tier 1 and tier 2s, like I think this last weekend I got hit 77 times in a match. And,
How do you not die?
Yeah, it's just like, I'm invincible. It's such a fun tank. I love it.
For me, it's like, oh, I ran over rocks, my right treads are out.
Yeah.
So guys, this is just proof. This is like one of those many times where Pico's just gonna be better than me at World of Tanks.
Oh, well, you surpassed me in most other games, so
That was the scale,
I'll take the
right?
tank's victory.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, you do work there too, so I mean, it's probably
Yeah.
best that way anyways. So I want to talk a little bit about you. So you've kind of, okay, first off, we're not even gonna go ahead and touch the subject of like girls gaming, etc. Like that's a whole nother can of worms for
Maybe
maybe
we can
another
open
day.
that one another time. Yeah.
What I would like to talk about though is your kind of climb up the internet ladder. I definitely wouldn't say like you're a super famous e-celeb, but you're like definitely on the pathway to being there, and you've come a long way from your days back on like I believe it was Destructoid you were with, right? I don't want to
Yes.
get wrong information here. I haven't done enough stalking. My apologies.
No.
You're the
We have a
Pico
creeper
soccer
club
fan.
with all the information.
Yeah, they're looking at me right now, going like, "Who is this jerk?" Like,
He doesn't know.
he doesn't stalk hard enough. My bad.
Yeah,
But
that's like cred in my community. The more of a creeper and stalker you are, the better. It's awesome. You get points for that.
it's like the only girl community where that's like encouraged. No, I would like to talk about that. So if you want to maybe tell you, I guess, a short version of your story.
Okay, yeah. I guess it all sort of started when I was born. Fast forward past that part.
Big shout out to my mom and dad. Big love.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. I was like most other people, I went to college. I actually have a degree in psychology, and I played out my career for a couple of years, which I'm kind of dating myself. So don't do the math.
It's like the notches on the wall as you grow. You're like marking it off, like.
Yeah. So like I had a job and I was a teacher for kids with autism, and the economy went really bad, especially in Florida where I was living at the time, and they started getting rid of people who were qualified for jobs and replacing them with people who, well, frankly, just coming out of high school so that they can teach them to do the job and pay them half what they were paying me. And it was just really an eye-opener from going from a culture that teaches you that going to college is going to give you security and all of this, and then to lose my job was kind of pretty traumatic. So I decided, since I didn't have much responsibility at the time, I don't have kids or anything like that, that I would just sort of take life a little bit less serious and try to just focus on something that I love doing. I guess it's more like the hippie mentality, but just living, your life rather than just doing things.
No, it's a good mentality. Like, you can take it as far as like calling it a hippie mentality, sure. But if you're not happy, I mean, you're not happy. What's the point of like working a job that you're not happy with, right? Or doing?
Yeah, I mean, any time that you're at your job and you're just sort of like, is it 6 o'clock yet? Is it 6 o'clock? Is it 6 o'clock? You're miserable. You're pretty much wishing your life away, and you don't want to do that. Like, trust me, get out before it's too late. Just try to find something you like and just stick with it. So going from there, I was sort of doing some, behind the scenes work with Destructoid, doing some videos and a little series we were running called Public Access Destructoid, where we went around to different areas and we were just trying to be like viral trolls in real life. So one situation, we went down to Tijuana, Mexico, and this is just how absurd it got. And we were just asking people to comment on the game Red Dead Redemption. And of course, it's Tijuana, Mexico, a border town, and they were like in the heat of like drug wars at this moment. And the people just wanted to talk about just like, oh, that's heavy stuff. And no matter what you told them, they always just came back at it like it was about the drug wars. And it was actually kind of sad, but that's the sort of viral videos we were doing, just to find like the on the street value. But applying it to video games very loosely. So we were doing that, and Destructoid at the time, the video department was run by Ray Gutierrez, who decided to move over to Sony. Miami. Oh, Gesundheit. Nice.
Sorry, only you heard that. I couldn't get the other mic.
I got it.
I apologize.
It's funny. Anyway, yeah, so Destructoid was looking for somebody to do their video content, and they're like, well, do you want to do it? And I was like, okay. So the catch was, Destructoid, it wasn't necessarily a paying gig, but they offered housing. And
dude,
so
they had a guy that looked like a robot. How could you say no to that?
Exactly. And actually, we already knew Destructoid because they used to be in Miami, and they had moved over to San Francisco only a year earlier. So, we're like, sure, we came out, and I was literally living in a house with a dozen men. Like, it was just packed, and there was it was just crazy. I mean, just imagine living with a dozen guys.
Did you? Yeah, I was gonna say, did you get like wrapped up in the sort of boys club mentality of things, or was it all like pretty just real nice guys just living together type thing?
You know, it's odd. Despite having all the people there, it was always just quiet. I think we were the loudest ones because we were live streaming every day. um, but I guess that just kind of brings down the point. Destructoid was picking up a few projects at the time, and Twitch, before they were Twitch, was Justin TV, which they're still Justin TV, but they didn't have Twitch at that time. And they were sort of approaching different gaming companies like, hey, do you want to get into this live streaming, and we'll sort of promote you, and you promote us. And it's just this whole business deal, partnering sort of thing. And we're like, sure, we'll take that as our project. So we started it, and I remember like the first episode had like maybe 7 viewers, and the moment we got like 32 viewers, I was stoked. I was like, this is amazing. Like,
I remember, yeah, those highlight moments were like, oh, we broke 30, we broke 50, 100, and you just keep going up, and it's like better and better every single time.
Yeah, and then you just get to a point where you almost become like pompous about it, like, we only had 300, only 300.
Why bother wasting time with that cast?
Yeah, exactly. What am I even doing? But you can't, even though like you sort of start feeling that way, you just gotta do it. Like, it just became, we originally started because we understand the concept that you had to stay live as long as possible. So we used to stream 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, nonstop.
Wow, that's an intense schedule.
Yeah, it was. And it was just us, and at the same time we were sort of working with Destructoid, so we were correlating with people like Sega and having them come in and be like, hey, we're doing this thing, it's live streaming, if you just want to come bring your Dreamcast over and we'll play some old school games. And we kept it very casual. It was more about the community. And
I need to interrupt you. I'm so sorry, but the Dreamcast, man, that was the best system. Like, I am old enough that I could appreciate it, but not young enough that I've forgotten or didn't get to experience it. Like, it was okay, to this day, I still think, as silly as they were, the VMUs, the memory cards that were basically like little Game Boy things, those were the coolest memory cards ever.
Actually, my first job was Funko Land, which is now bought out by GameStop, but they were selling Dreamcast when I worked there. So I don't know if that dates me at all, but that was that time period.
It's okay, you look very young, so we'll just tell everyone like you're 19, right? This is how we get around.
Well, wait, but I am 19.
Of course, sorry. Well, I meant telling people your real age.
Which I guess sort of would play into the whole girls and media thing that we'll touch on another day. But yeah, so I guess our stream, because we were promoting the stream on Destructoid, and in turn Twitch would promote it on their front page, and we ended up being on front page for 2 or 4 hours every day. I don't even remember, like everything's just sort of
still
fading
nice.
out, but we were promoted a lot, like all the time, because we were the first ones to jump on it. Like now, those are prime spots, but then
yeah,
it was
everyone,
like,
I've been there, you gotta fight for those spots. Like, even to be there for just an hour, you gotta fight for it.
Yeah, I mean, Twitch was happy to get the promotion from Destructoid, and it was just this whole business thing that we fit smack dab in the middle of, and it was just beautiful. But at the same time, we weren't getting paid. Like, it just wasn't.
Was there, back then when you started up, was that still like, no, there wasn't like the commercial, there wasn't the partnership program or anything like that, or?
Well, we were actually the first people who had commercials that you could automate in the middle of your stream. They gave that access to us first.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very difficult, as you know, you use YouTube. The only way to really profit on these sort of mediums is by, having the backing of a marketing department. Like, you can make some money going, based on your general partnerships, but it's really about branching out and having those extra sold sales. But Destructoid didn't have a sales team, so we just sort of went by the basic CPM that everybody else gets.
Yeah, that's what we're stuck with right now. Well, I wouldn't stay stuck with. I'm happy with it because we just finally got it going. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, you gotta love doing it. Like, I love streaming to this day, and every single company that I've worked for, I'm like, you have to fit at least an hour within my day that I can stream, because this is the community. This is what humanizes the internet. You don't get that with YouTube. Like, YouTube's great, but you sort of lose the community element.
You don't get that chat back and forth. Like, my favorite thing, and I'm pretty sure it's yours too, is like interacting with the chat. You have someone come in, you say hi, hello, how you doing, and then they'll start commenting, hey, do that thing in game, and you say like, no, f you, I'm doing it my way. You know, like whatever, however way you handle it. It's nice having that chat interaction. When I'm casting StarCraft matches and stuff, there's, you know, usually between 5 and 10 minutes between games where it's like, well, I could talk and be bored, or we can talk with the chat, and it's so much more interesting when you get to have that interaction. I love it.
And people don't care. I mean, this isn't esports. Like, people don't care if you're great at the game. Like, they just want to be heard. They want to be part of the community. They just, you know, it's the experience of it. And for me, nothing's more frustrating than going into a room and just being completely, you know, the broadcaster not paying attention. Like, that drives me crazy. I'm just like, you know, whatever. There's the internet, and it's very ADD.
Well, it's different flavors to different people. I'm sure there's an equally large amount of people who love when people just play the game well and they don't care about the chat. Yeah. But definitely, I think you and I are those people who we love that chat interaction. It's all about making friendships or whatever. Even if it's just about 5 seconds that you're talking to this person that you're friendly with them, it's still yeah.
And we were some of the first people to really treat it like a show. Like, despite the fact that it happened all the time, like, we were out getting special guests and getting exclusives, and we just sort of went after it. And a lot of people to this day, a lot of the design elements that you see came from our stream originally, just us experimenting with things, and people's like, oh, well, they're popular. So, you know, it just sort of set the standard for streaming. And it's just quite amazing whenever I think about that, when I see streamers. And
I guess, yeah, you being one of the like founding people, you probably see that trickle down from your groundwork, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah, and I feel, I mean, I feel like it's a bit egotistical to like see myself in that sort of light, but it's very humbling at the same time.
Well, I mean, I don't know a lot of women who have been involved with, we could call it esports, but like online communities for nearly as long as you have. And I feel like some of them, they get up to the top quick, and again, not getting into that topic, but like they get up to the top quick, they're remembered for like a couple events, and then they kind of fade out. Whereas you've got someone like yourself who's just, you're so ingrained in the community, you've been around for a while, you're not going anywhere anytime soon. It's just, you're such a big part of it, but at the same time you're not, because it's like, you don't need to be that person, you don't need to be the face of everything. So, I mean, personally, like, from my perspective, a lot of respect to you for being able to be that sort of role. Not a lot of people can fill that.
Yeah, I do have a very particular set of skills.
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
I don't think that it's unique. But it's just, a lot of it's luck. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it's luck, a lot of it's because I'm a girl, but we could talk about that another time.
I know, it's hard. It's so hard not to talk about this. It's like
it's just right there, man. It's just like, I mean, I guess I can just sum up that argument really quick and be like, you know, there's good things and there's bad things about being a girl. And if you're a girl who's willing to be on camera and knows about video games, and that's just a market that's so small, but then that's so needed.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like, for example, if I was gonna have someone go interview some players, yeah, I could get a guy to do it. I could get myself to do it, but quite frankly, I'm all right at best. I'm not super interesting, and I'm not an eye catcher. You get someone like an attractive girl, you know, just oh yeah, people are gonna click on that YouTube link, like
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just classic marketing. I mean, that's pretty much where it ends. I mean, that's where being a girl.
Well, for those
there's no other perks.
For those who maybe don't know, by the way, Pico was kind of the spokesperson. She did all the Curse roundups for Curse videos. So, you know, World of Warcraft updates, Minecraft, etc. Like, she was the face of everything. She's been there. She's experienced it all. And I don't know. Do you want to talk about that at all, or is that kind of still a subject that maybe should not be touched for now?
No. I don't even know where to start with Curse. I guess I can just continue on my story from where I started. So I was just at that point of live streaming where I wasn't making any money, and I needed to start making money. I mean, I needed to pay bills and, you know, all that common sense stuff. So I was like, well, you know, maybe I'll let, you know, other people live out the stream, and I've gotten really far, and I was successful, and I was proud of that, and I had my community. So I started looking for other jobs, and I was just going to take anything. You know, it would have been great to get something in the game industry, but at that point I would have worked at Starbucks. But it just so happened that a friend of a friend knew that Curse was looking, and they sort of called me in, and they wanted somebody who was a gamer, who has experience being in front of camera, and so it just sort of worked out. So they picked me up, and I built their department. I don't think people understand what my job actually is. Yeah, I host things, but my hosting is like hardly any of it. Whenever
Tip of the
I do,
iceberg.
yeah, whenever I do go into these projects, Curse, you know, being, I guess would be the third video project after Twitch, and then now Wargaming. Like, I'm starting these departments. Like, I'm hiring editors, I write all the scripts, all the content, everything is managed by me. There's just a lot that I do. I travel constantly, you know, I work weekends and nights sometimes, and that doesn't include networking, which is a vital part of marketing in general. So it's actually very busy. You just love it. Like, you know, you get to a point, you know, you're in the right area where you're successful, but yet you love it. And you're not looking at the clock and saying like, oh, well, it's almost 6 o'clock. You're just like,
where does stress factor into that for you? Because, like, again, you say you're starting these departments, and I know from talking to you in the past, there's a lot more on your plate. I'll be like, hey, Pico, you want to play some League of Legends? No, I got like 9 scripts to write this week, and blah, 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 and organize this. How big of it, like, right now, I guess it's maybe a little more relaxed because you don't have that momentum ball running at Wargaming yet. But, I mean, at Curse, making that transition now, like, where does stress factor into all this for you?
I think that it's sort of balances, because like sometimes I'll be super stressed because like deadlines will all just sort of crunch together, and then other times I'll be like, there's nothing to do, like just sort of sitting around like,
go play some World of
video
Tanks.
games.
Yeah.
And that's where streaming comes in. I use that as sort of my excuse on my spare time to stream and play games. I'm still trying to be active while relaxing.
I'm glad you do get those spare times, because quite frankly, as I got to know you, it's really nice catching you on your lunch break if I happen to not be doing something that day, and it's like, oh, Pico's playing World of Tanks, or she's fiddling around with this. It's just kind of like, oh, it's almost like a catch-up, a one-sided catch-up, I guess, where it's like, oh, I see she's doing all right, cool beans, I'll talk to her later today.
Yeah, she's good. Yeah, I mean, I'm great, like doing great. Like, my life couldn't be any more enriched, and it's tough, and there's aspects of this job that are difficult from like an emotional stance, dealing with a lot of the criticisms and the pressures that come from within the communities, and you know, from within companies, and just business ventures in general is tough. But you know, that's just sort of deepens your life's experiences. I mean, overall, when all is said and done, like, you know, I travel the world, and I feel like I'm not missing out on anything. Like, I'm completely like self-sustained, and it's definitely a path to go down.
I gotta say, like, there's this guy I work with named Doom.
It's like we be reading Marx where I'm from. The kids be rocking clocks where I'm from. You turn around your...
He also has pretty much the most laid-back, chilled-out view on life, and I think you two would be like the best of friends, because it's like I'm talking to Girl Doom right now. Like, it's just like, gotta chill, have a good time, live life, man.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I take myself super serious, but just my overall perspective of life is just like, once you just sort of zoom back and you're looking at your timeline, you're like, well, you know, I'm doing this activity, and I hope to be here. You just gotta enjoy it, because before you know it, you know, you have a job, and this would be best case scenario. You have a job for a long period of time, and then you're old. So
just
yeah.
like,
then you're
surprise,
old.
I'm old.
Yeah. Well, that's how it happens. Like, you're like, how did I get this far?
Well, you know what? That's actually almost poetic, because I believe that's how the story began. So it began when I was born. Then
yeah.
I worked at Destructoid. Then I was old. Like, bam, bam,
That's pretty
boom.
much my life sequence.
That is so depressing. You could make like the shortest, saddest movie out of that.
Just like 3 images clipped together.
No, that's cool. I guess that's kind of Pico's life in a nutshell, guys. She's worked a lot. She's also benefiting a lot, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you can't I haven't even touched on how amazing it feels to have people support you. Like in life, you know, like it's tough, like especially if you want to do something risky, like get in the game industry or acting or anything along those lines. It's hard for your family to be supportive because they worry about you. It's hard for your friends or anybody who cares about you to support these sort of tasks. So to have like a community support you and to have people who come
Even
up to
if
me.
it's creepers.
Yeah, I love them all, and to have people I've been at, because I do this thing where I just get really deep and I talk about life and stuff like this. And a lot of times when I'm talking to people, it's a lot of, you know, younger guys who are trying to decide if they should go to college or, you know, what they should do with their lives. And I've had quite a few people come up to me just, you know, just to say like, oh, you've been such an inspiration in my life, and I just want to thank you. And like I cry like several different times when I go to conventions because there's always people who come up to me who say such nice things and how they appreciate my work or stuff like that. Because for me, it's just, you know, I'm just working, I'm just sort of in this momentum where I'm just going. So just sort of step back and seeing that I'm able to reach out and touch people, you know, in the in the proper way.
Whoa! Okay, call 911. What's
Not
that?
like Michael Jackson here. It's too soon.
Well, no, it's kind of neat because I could say, like, from having been knowing you as long as I have, I've seen you several times on Facebook, and there's a lot of people, guys and girls, so it's not just gender specific here. They'll make that generic, like, oh, thanks everybody for the support, thanks for coming out, blah blah, and it's there to say it. But every time I've seen you write anything, it's always got that little bit of extra deeper meaning, that extra sentence that just makes it more genuine. So it's like, it's really refreshing knowing that there are people like yourself who care about the community that they're involved with.
Yeah, I mean, I tear up a little bit. I mean, otherwise, I'm tough, so don't judge me. I'm such a tomboy at the same time. I think as I get older, I get a lot softer. You know, I was that kid who was out playing with worms in the mud.
I was a kid who was playing with worms, but it was like on the computer, and I was throwing the hand grenades across the map.
I was playing with the worms on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm such a tomboy. I was like, oh, I'm tough, but you know, it's once you can let your guard down, you enjoy life a lot more, and people enjoy your presence more. And
I'm gonna have to rename this, by the way, from like Rifkin vlog number like 14 or whatever it is to like Pico's advice on life. Check it out. It'd be like Sanjay Gupta, the online redhead girl, like, giving you life advice. Come buy her herbal medicine while she's at it.
yes, the tooth of a cow.
What?
That's the medicine I take.
Where,
That's
okay,
really
you live
chill.
in like San Francisco. Where are you gonna find a cow to like rip a tooth out of? And then
I
like,
saw some cows yesterday. Been shooting guns. We went out to the range and there were some cows, and a goat.
I hope that they are still there and alive after you were done.
Well, maybe for a while until I start farming the molars, apparently.
Oh yeah, it's like Minecraft, like but with cows. It's like, oh, there's a cow over there. Well, I could use some molars to make a bed. Let's go.
That's, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't. I guess it's sort of like a secret goal of mine. But at some point, I'd love to be like a motivational speaker, and I have spoken at a few different conventions and out towards people, like a lot of people in high school and kids and stuff like that. So just sort of having this soapbox and being able to inspire people just really motivates me a lot. So that's where my value system comes down to.
Well, I mean, too, as like you've had a lot of success in the online world, and I mean, quite frankly, that's where I think a lot of people are kind of migrating nowadays. Whether you were that typical classical jock or whether you're in high school, everyone uses the internet now. You know, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And the more cred you kind of have, I mean, like quite frankly, you have a lot already. Kind of, it's gonna make it a lot easier for people to take you seriously if you do end up being like, say, a motivational speaker type thing. You're like, yeah, kids, when I was your age, I knew the internet, and listen to how I succeeded.
That's actually, it's a funny point about psychology, and one of the struggles of people who are just getting into that field. Nobody wants advice from a 20-something-year-old.
Yeah,
like,
oh my
everybody
goodness.
looks to elders.
Ageism it's not limited to one specific thing, it's everywhere.
Yeah. So maybe that'll also be my retiring project. Once I get a wrinkle or something.
Oh my god, a gray hair!
It's on the motivational speaking now. We're
It's
done
okay,
here.
because you're only 19. Wink,
Yeah,
you got a long time to go.
I have plenty of time. We're good, guys.
Okay, well, I don't want to drag this too long. I'm gonna finish this up. I have a question. This is extremely nerdy question. I'm asking it on purpose, but okay. So,
Okay.
two types. You hear the word magic, right? There's two types. It's basically like, you know, oh look, I pulled a quarter out of your ear. Thoughts on that type of magic?
First word that popped in my mind was perversion, and I was trying to find myself.
Why
not
was
to
it
say-
perversion? How many
I don't know.
perverted magicians?
I just imagine like I don't know, this like video I had when I was in preschool of like this magician like in this dark room with all these kids, and for some reason as my adult life just flashed that in front of my mind.
Like what?
That's
He
what-
disappears him into the box to take him home later? Like nobody
I mean,
does that.
It was fine when I was a kid, but looking at it as an adult, these kids sneaking away and there's this old man showing tricks to them, that was kind of weird.
So, okay, what I've got out of this vlog so far is horse porn and like pedophile magicians. Is that about right? Does that sum up our experience?
And cow molars.
Yeah, cow molars, pedophile magicians, horse porn, and living life easy, guys. Those are wise words of Pico.
See, this would be my advice for live streaming is, with the exception of, you know, you don't want to say anything really bad, don't filter yourself. Say whatever comes to your mind, and that's it's dangerous sometimes, but it's kind of funny what comes out.
The results that can come from a pretty girl
So
talking about particular.
It happened to be a memory from when I was a child, so now I'm kind of worried about my childhood.
Yeah, you said you were going to be a psychologist? Maybe you should see a psychologist. I don't know. Like, next day in the mirror, you're like, good morning, Pico. You're like talking yourself in the bathroom, you're like, oh, glad to see you again.
I guess for some reason, magic, I always just have memories of just like old guys just interacting with children. It's just kind of weird.
That should be a sweet memory, though. Like,
It should
but you know
be,
what? That's the
but,
thing.
you know,
That's the internet ruining you. Between childhood and now, that's what's happened. The internet. Like, the old guy from Up, you wouldn't imagine, like, if the old guy from Up was doing a magic trick with that little scout kid, you wouldn't be thinking perversion at all. That's cute, that's adorable.
Yeah, but old guys from, like, my childhood, like, the 80s were, like, they had mullets and, they had, you know, the mustache, so, like, that's my vision right now.
No, you know, that actually explains everything right there, the mullets. I completely understand why you associate creepy with magicians right there.
It does.
I've never seen... okay, actually, I'm assuming you've seen Office Space?
Yeah.
Okay, the guy with the mullet in that movie is the only guy who's ever had a cool mullet. Everyone else is just a big creep.
It's kind of a creepy thing. I mean, some people kind of brought it back as a hipster fashion sense, but man, it's still creepy. Still got it.
Oh man, well, thank you very much for joining me today, Pico. It was a lovely chat. I'm glad to have gotten your point of view on life. I hope anyone who's watching this video does heed her teachings here. She might be the next prophet, the next motivational speaker, who knows. You have any, I guess, shout-outs before we take this off?
No, actually, I don't, but thank you.
Okay, well, thank you kindly for joining me. See you guys next week.
Like, just horses getting it on. Like, with any video you can start with, you know, it can be the cutest, most innocent. You can be like, you know, grandma flash dance, and you can always take it back to like horse porn. It's just really weird. The internet.
Pico, you're into some weird stuff, man. Because you know what? I've seen some of your older videos where you're like wearing the masks and stuff too. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, you know.
Well,
horses.
I'm gonna like keep this part for like the end of the video. It's just gonna be like the little extra bit at the end, like horse porn.
Horse porn. And this is how
Nothing.
you do it.
No hard limits, guys. There's no topic is too sketchy.